I'm going to put the disclaimer out now before I see the flames of hell in the comment section. If you're a Battlefield fan, you do not want to hear me rip your game to shreds, I highly suggest leaving right now, because I'm warning you, I'm not going to sugarcoat this bitch at all. So if you don't want to hear me point out all the major fucking flaws in this game, you might as well leave right now. Okay, how many people actually left? I know nobody left. Everybody wants to hear this shit. So anyway, the gameplay you're watching in the background is mainly decoration. It comes from the OJ at 360. He's one of my subscribers, somebody I'm actually subscribed to as well. And I don't plan on referring to this shit too much. I'll say a few things about it, but I'm not going to talk about it too much. Now, before people go getting all cunt hurt and calling me a Call of Duty fanboy, you may want to go check out all the videos where I tear Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2 a new asshole. I've made it very clear this year that Black Ops is one of the worst games ever made. That shit does not deserve to be within 10 fucking feet of my console. That's how bad that shit is. And I've said all along that Modern Warfare 2's problems are the perks. Those are the biggest bullshits ever put in a fucking video game. World of Fail will always be World of Fail, so that shit doesn't even count as a fucking video game. Call of Duty 4, though, is still the best to date. 4 years later, that is still the standard for Call of Duty games, flaws and all, because that shit is far from perfect, but it's still the top Call of Duty game. So Battlefield 3 is going to get the same ass-kicking treatment, and before I get into all the bullshit this game has, I do want to talk briefly about some of the shit the game did right. First of all, the controllers are much better than any previous Battlefield game. I don't feel like a fucking pregnant woman carrying a 600-pound gorilla on my back while walking in the mud. It's definitely an improvement, feels much smoother, so thank you, DICE, for fixing the fucking controls. Second, the graphics are top-notch. Now, I'm not going to get into the details and opinions compared to other games and all this other shit, but I will say this is a beautiful-looking game. But compared to all the trailers from Modern Warfare 3, I will say that Battlefield does look better. Although, there is a flaw I gotta talk about later, but overall, this game is graphically brilliant. The final thing's actually gonna surprise people, and I wanna bring up the gun recoil. Holy fuck, is it great to finally have a game with gun recoil again. Look, Call of Duty caters to the masses, and part of that is catering to new players that have a learning curve. So to help people learn the fucking game and learn the ropes of the game, they eliminate recoil. Or they tone that shit down. That's what helps with the learning curve. But you know what? It makes the game easy. Like, seriously, how the fuck can you run around with that gargantuan bitch, the M60, hit fire, spray and pray like a kid, pissing in a fucking rose garden, and not get any recoil on the motherfucker? It's some bullshit, man. So to see gun recoil in this game is definitely something that I like, and it definitely separates the good players from the bad players. But right there, that's where all the credit stops. So for the Battlefield fans that didn't listen to my first warning, now's your last chance to abandon ship. Did anybody leave? I didn't think so. Alright, let's start off with all the dumb fuck decisions DICE and EA made regarding this whole fucking beta. Technically, this shit isn't even a real beta. It's actually just a server stress test since they decided to use an old build that they had before. So all the glitches and shit that we're used to seeing in a beta are being fixed somewhere else. And you know what? Unfortunately, we're never going to know if these shits are fixed until people actually spend $60 to buy the motherfucker. Now, when you look at what companies have done for their betas, Uncharted, Gears of War, Assassin's Creed, and all that other shit, they roll their betas out months in advance, not weeks. And when problems come up, they address it in the beta. That way, they can fix the problems before it ships out on the disc instead of just updating with a patch. Now, DICE may have very well fixed some of the shit we're going to see, but why not fix it during the beta instead of hoping it's fixed on the disc? Now, you know, the last beta that did this shit was Resistance 3, and look at how many patches they've needed to roll out. They've had like 4 or 5 patches ever since the game came out less than 2 months ago. So I bet you any amount of money that Battlefield is going to be running into the same issues, and they're going to be doing the same shit that Call of Duty does. They're going to be fixing buggy shit with patches after the game was released. You know, they had a golden chance to do things with this beta had they rolled it out months ago. No, instead they gave us this separate old build that they had no intention of fixing. So we don't know if this shit is going to be fixed until we spend our money. You know what? That's some shit that only Activision and Call of Duty would come up with. So all this crap about DICE being customer service oriented, that is some bullshit. Now the next bad decision they made, rush mode. Listen, I'm an objective player. I like objective games. However, I just like to kill a motherfucker. Put a bullet in their dome, a knife in the jugular, and not have to worry about a fucking bomb charge. So why would you not include some kind of team deathmatch type game? You know, give us the most basic mode of any online shooter, just straight up team deathmatch. Instead, you get this objective game mode, and for someone who's learning the ropes, trying to familiarize themselves with the game, we don't want to have to worry about a fucking explosive. Let me get my aiming down. Let me get my shit quick before I have to worry about a fucking bomb charge or whatever the fuck. No, you throw us directly into a game mode that promotes one team to sit back and defend. Another term for camping. and the other team comes towards the campers. I mean the defenders, whatever you want to call these assholes. Now, I know that rush mode is supposed to be the most popular, but you know what? There should have been at least an additional mode for just team deathmatch, for people that just want to kill bitches, not this objective bullshit. No, so I've been seeing Battlefield players complain about the map being a piece of shit, not for nothing, but when your own players are saying that this shit is fucked up, you know something went wrong. Usually for demos and betas, you select your best work. So fans of the game that are complaining, that's actually not a good sign. If they're complaining that this map sucks, I feel sorry for all the other maps that are going to be in this goddamn game. Now, one other thing to note, I know that Battlefield's supposed to be on dedicated servers and whatnot, and with this being a stress test, you would at least assume they're addressing the issues of lag, right? But I know there's still all these lag spikes in this game, so hopefully they get that shit resolved before the game comes out. But if you look at some of their past records, Battlefield, Bad Company 2, Bad Company 1, they had their issues of lag on those motherfuckers, even with dedicated servers. Now, obviously, dedicated servers are better than peer-to-peer hosting that Call of Duty has. We know this shit. But if this whole beta was to just test how the servers would behave, you would think those shits would be on point, right? You would think that they would have this motherfucker all solved out. So we'll find out when the game is actually released and people start bitching about lag up in this motherfucker. Alright, so now that I got all that shit out my system regarding their beta decisions, let's get into the actual fucking gameplay. First off, map size. I know large maps are their style, and I know they need to fit vehicles on the motherfucker. But you know what really pisses me off about this goddamn shit? Is the fucking imaginary lines that tell you you're leaving the battlefield. What the fuck is that? It's like, seriously, put a fucking physical barrier out there. Why do I have to find out the hard way that I'm walking too far away from the action? I mean, you know what this shit feels like? It feels like those electronic dog collars, you know, that you put on them so they don't leave your property. They go too far and it shocks the shit out of you. It's like, oh, went past the line. Bzz, get back in the line. It's like, what the fuck, man? Either look, just put up some fucking walls. Put up a fake barrier. But don't give me all this fucking space. And then as soon as I walk outside, the shit, bzz, get back. It's like, what the fuck, man? I can't stand that shit. You know, I hate having to run miles and miles to a goddamn objective. And I know people are going to say, oh, you should spawn on your teammate. But let me tell you something about that shit. I did it twice. And in back-to-back spawns, I got shot in my fucking back within 5 seconds. Shot in my back. Not even in my face. I got shot in my back. Then when I spawned on another teammate, he was sitting on the other side of the fucking map, camping in a motherfucking bush sniping. I was like, seriously? This is what I have to go through in this motherfucker? So although the squad spawning is fine and all that shit, and it can be helpful at times, that shit did not work for me, man. Fuck that bullshit. On top of that, these maps are just way too goddamn big, and when I try and flank a motherfucker, bzz, get back in the map. So fuck this bullshit. Next up is something that I alluded to, camping. Every game has campers. There's just no way around that shit. We see them in Call of Duty, you see them in Killzone, you see them in Halo, Gears of War. Hell, they're probably in fucking Hopscotch and Jump Rope. You know, if Harry Potter has some online wizarding ass kicking, I'm sure there'd be a camper pointing a fucking wand from behind a dragon statue or some shit. Campers are in every fucking game. And that's a problem more with the players in the community than with the game. But part of the problem is this fucking game mode that I mentioned where one team just gets to sit back and wait for the attackers to show up. But how come there are so many fucking bush campers in this damn game? Holy shit! And you know, it's not just the defenders. Because like I mentioned, I spawned on the motherfucker that was sitting in the goddamn bush, you know, going prone and all that shit, man. I swear, in this game, you have to clear out more bushes than a Brazilian bikini waxer. And you know what's funny? People will always say that Call of Duty rewards campers by way of kill streaks. That is such bullshit, man. That is the most inaccurate statement I've ever heard. You know, first of all, you can run and gun in Call of Duty and get your kill streaks. We see plenty of players that do that, plenty of players that get better scores than campers. So no, Call of Duty does not give a kill streak to reward camping because you can run and gun and get the same fucking reward. You know what kill streaks do? Kill streaks make an incentive to stay alive. That's it. People in Call of Duty, they don't want to die because they want the kill streaks. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Doesn't matter how long they have to wait in a fucking corner or run around a map. All they want to do is not die. So some people like to avoid dying and they will camp. Again, that's not rewarding the camping player. That's just making an incentive not to die. That's a huge difference from what people keep saying, oh, it rewards campers. No, it does not reward campers. Which brings me to Battlefield because this motherfucker takes the cake. What incentive do you have to camp here? No, seriously, what do you get for not dying in this game? It's not like fucking Rainbow Bright's gonna pop out and give you a cookie or some shit, or a Victoria's Secret model's gonna say, hey, you haven't died in Battlefield, you wanna get laid? No! There's no incentive for staying alive in Battlefield other than stats. And I think maybe there might be an objective game. I don't know if they have like a VIP game mode or whatever the fuck. But idiots just sit in bushes. Sometimes nowhere near the bomb. Sometimes they're not even defending. They're just sitting on the other side of the map because they want to sit in a fucking bush, man. You know, in Call of Duty, you see a corner camper. You see that motherfucker. You get a kill cam. You know exactly where that sumbitch is going to be. And since the maps are so small, chances are you're going to respawn right next to him. But not in this bitch. Maps are so large, like I fucking mentioned. By the time you fucking flank the bastard, he's either been shot already or he's hiding in another fucking bush. And since this mode requires defending, Logically, a defender thinks, oh, let me camp the bomb from exploding. But you know what? Again, that goes back to the goddamn game mode that was selected in this motherfucker. Now watch. I bet you there are going to be a number of idiots that say, oh, it's the Call of Duty player that's camping. Bullshit, man. It doesn't matter what game it is. People camp. But as soon as you come to another game, you decide how you want to play the game. The community develops how the game style should be played. And this game has been developed that we're going to bush camp. There's no incentive to camp in this game. That's it. No incentive, especially not from the attacking team. So anyone that's going to sit here and say, oh, these are the Call of Duty players, that is totally full of shit. Now, I'm sure there are ways to deal with campers in this game, but at least in Call of Duty, you have ways of finding a camper out without having to reveal yourself. You know, like a UAV or a Blackbird or some shit like that. But in this game, everything fucking blends. Which brings me to my next point, and like I said, it did have a flaw, the graphics. I already mentioned how good they are, and I'll tell you right now, it is a step up from Call of Duty. But the problem that I have in this game is the blue shading. Why is everything so fucking blue? The radar is blue. The ammo indicator is blue. The message system in the corner is blue. Every fucking color in this game has some kind of shade of blue. I mean, just look at the thumbnail. Look at the thumbnail you clicked on. How many shades of blue were you able to pick out? I say like 7. Since when did Battlefield 3 turn into fucking Smurfavision? I mean, I feel like I'm walking around looking through Papa Smurf's eyeballs and shit. Everything's so fucking Smurfy. The environment they created is stunning. But this blue hue that it gives off makes all the colors seem muddled. I mean, outside the grass looks blue, the water's obviously blue, but the concrete looks sort of blue. In this tunnel, forget it, man. This tunnel, the lighting is blue, the train is blue, the tracks are blue, the floor is blue. Oh, man, it's fucking annoying, man. It just makes people harder to see and they blend in. And I knock Black Ops all the time for having some of the worst color in the video game, but this shading doesn't add shit worth of realism. I mean, it makes me want to shake my TV, figure out why there's so much blue tint up in this bitch. The final thing that I can't stand is actually the biggest in the game, and it's been a Battlefield staple throughout the series. The class system. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of being in school when you were always forced to do team projects because the professor would much rather grade 4 papers than 20 individual ones. And you always seem to get stuck with idiots for team members. It's irritating. You know, what sounds like a good idea on paper works like shit in a video game. And this forced teamwork shit is not only impractical, but it's utterly fucking pointless. First of all, just because you put something in a game that requires teamwork doesn't mean people are actually going to do it. I mean, how many idiot medics are there? How many asshole engineers are there? You know, when you get people that don't even understand their role, they're brand new to the game, or you just flat out ignore the shit, the concept of teamwork completely collapses. You know what? There are assholes that completely ignore the shit. So if you're depending on a brain-dead teammate, that is just fucking irritating. Forcing teamwork is never going to work with randoms. You know, maybe in co-op it'll work, but this class system that makes you depend on a random asshole doesn't work at all. And I know people are going to say, well, play in a party. It always works in a party. Yeah, it's always nice to play in a party. But you know what? Call of Duty parties work just as fine with teamwork. I mean, how many times are people calling out objectives, telling you some assholes in a corner camping, grabbing objectives together? There's all kinds of teamwork in Call of Duty, and it's not forced. It's not like this shit where you need to have a goddamn medic or some stupid shit like that, man. But what happens when a person doesn't have a party? I mean, think about that. We say, oh, it's always better to play in a party. What happens if you're just running solo? You know, there are times at night where I log in and nobody's on. So I have to run solo. So what do? I go play free-for-all or I go play Merc Team Deathmatch. I don't worry about having to worry about teammates and shit like that. But in this game, man, it's like, oh, you have to have the medic. You have to have an engineer. Oh, man, fuck all this bullshit. This forced teamwork is fucking irritating. And the most antiquated shit in this game is the medic. What the fuck? Games have evolved into not needing medics. We have regenerative health in almost every fucking game now. So this ancient idea of getting shot needing a health pack is about 10, 15, 20 years old, man. And for those saying, oh, it's realistic to have a medic on the field. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit, because that's not what medics do. If someone gets shot with a bullet, they require medical attention, and otherwise they'll just continue to bleed out. And usually, if they survive a serious shot, they're taken off the battlefield. They're not thrown right the fuck back in there. No health pack is going to make somebody feel 100%. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh shit, I got shot in the shoulder. Put a band on this motherfucker. Yeah, I'm good to go. You know what it is? Let's say you take one bullet. You survive that. Then you take another, and you survive that. Then you take another, and you survive that. Look, no way in hell a human's gonna survive 10 fucking shots without bleeding out. And there's no health pack in the world that's gonna save their fucking ass. Not happening. So when games went to regenerative health, they did it for a reason. It just makes shit easier. Neither one is realistic, because obviously, video games are not meant to be 100% real. If you want realistic, health wouldn't regenerate at all. And when you do get shot, you'll eventually bleed the fuck out. Think about it. A chest shot, you'll be quickly dying out like a motherfucker. Your health will be deteriorating all hell, man. Like a leg shot, that should prevent you from walking. But your health would completely deteriorate over time. That would be realistic, not this health pack shit or even the regenerative health crap. So those who really believe this medic shit is realistic, you're just fooling yourself. Because a medic in real life would not be able to do the fucking miracles that they would do in this goddamn game, man. So you seriously need to get your head out your ass if you think that shit is real. So that's another reason why I can't stand the class system. Now, let's get serious for a second. The fact is, a Battlefield fan is going to buy Battlefield 3 regardless of what happens. A Call of Duty fan is going to buy Modern Warfare 3 regardless of how the game is. But this marketing preview was supposed to go after those undecided gamers. It was supposed to go after disgruntled Call of Duty fans like me, people that can't stand Black Ops. You know, it was supposed to tempt those debating about buying this game, and this preview does a really bad job at doing so. Now, I'm sure I may have convinced a few people, but considering how much I despise Black Ops, I still wouldn't play this bullshit. I know DICE is going to make a shitload on sales on this bitch, but you know what? I really don't care. In the end, this game is just not a Call of Duty killer. It catered to the Battlefield fans. That's what this beta did, and that's what this beta always intended on, was making the Battlefield players happy. It had no intention of swinging over some of the disgruntled Call of Duty fans. So unfortunately, I will not be buying this game. Anyways, that's the end of my rant. I know there's plenty of Battlefield fans that have fumes coming out their ears right now. I told you, I warned you, motherfuckers. So anyway, as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys on Modern Warfare 3.